It's in the center. It'll probably be hard for you guys to see in the back. But you're going to hold it up like this. And you can see I can hold this whole cup with the cellophane cup, okay? And that's what you want. So you're going to start at the top of it, and you're just going to hold it like that at first. You're just going to scrunch it right where the top of my basket's going to be. Now, the last thing you want to do is move the cellophane right in front of the product. As you're bringing it up, you got to think about you need to be able to see this. So first of all, don't use a bunch of fancy cellophane like, you know, hobby horses and candy canes, because you can't see through it, okay? So it makes it easier, okay? So hold your cellophane up and bring it to the center, but bring it around the back so that the bolt, see where it's all bulky like and where you can't really see through it, is in the back. So I fold my cellophane in and I bring it up through the back so that when I turn it around in the front, you can still see what's inside of it. But when I turn it around at the back, it's kind of bulky back there, okay? So then you're going to hold your cellophane like this. Another good thing about this cellophane, that when it's tough like this, is you can pull it around and make sure it's exactly the way that you want it, not all folded over and bunchy and ugly looking, okay? So I'm pulling on it and it's not tearing. If you've got the cheap cellophane, it tears when you pull on it, okay? So I'm going to hold it together like this. And then I'm going to take a piece of ribbon and I'm going to tie it off. Another nice thing about this cellophane is it doesn't go and come apart on you when it's nice cellophane. When it's the crummy cellophane, it's really loose and not stiff, and it tends to undo as you're trying to pull it up. So you can see like that. I'm just tying it off with a knot, okay? Except for I wanted my knot in the front. So bring your knot to the front. You want your knot in the front, just a regular shoe knot. Left over right, right over left, and then that holds all my gift set together. Now I can take this around and I can take this to a million gift shows and it's not going anywhere because it's tightly wrapped inside there. Now my cellophane looks a little bit messy and it's a little bit too tall. Better to have it too tall than not tall enough because then you're trying to squeeze it into a small space. So once I'm done with it, I usually give it what I call a haircut. And I just kind of cut it here and there, make it random, you know. Sometimes I'll bunch it up like this and cut it like that, and cut it like that so that it gets a little bit shorter because you don't want it to be so big and bulky, okay? And then we're going to make our bow. So then I take one of my ribbons and I roll it off, cut it at an angle. I'm going to bend it in half like this. I'm going to loop it. Now, if you notice, I got a ribbon that looks pretty much the same on both sides. That's another key thing in buying ribbon, is don't buy a ribbon that looks like one way on one side and completely different on the other side. This one actually is sparklier on one side than the other, but it still looks pretty much the same when I bend it back and forth. So then I take it and I tie it into the center of my basket. Left over right, right over left. If you can't hold your basket, set it down on the table like I just did, and let the basket hold itself. Okay, so right there, I could just tie some shred into it right there and I could be done. Again, I could take the pick that was in here, I could stick that in there instead of in the cup if I wanted to. Then I'm going to take my second colored ribbon and I'm going to do that into the center. It doesn't have to be as long a piece of ribbon when you're doing two ribbons, it can be a little shorter. Left over right. Always to the center, looping to the center, to the center, to the center, and then you just squish it down and tie it inside. So my one bow is going this way, and now I'm going to put the other bow the opposite direction so that it fills in that hole in the middle, that little gap there. I did that, and then I'll just put a little piece. Oh, I was going to show you how to do this. This is fun. This is called tool netting. And if you don't want to make a bow, you can make a whole bow just with tool netting, which is kind of fun too, especially when I have small little items. So how you work with tool netting is you just take a piece of it, cut it off, and then bend it back and forth like that. Take your scissors and cut the little pieces that you bent in half. Good pair of scissors. Goes up through the center of the loop and just clip it. Like that, and then you just lay it inside there, kind of fluff it out a little bit, and instead of putting shred in the center of it, you can just put a little bit of the tool netting in the center and it looks just as sparkly, maybe a little bit easier to work with. I think most of the Sparkle Tool rolls that I've bought have been about $4. So they're a little bit more expensive than regular plain tulle if it's got the sparkly stuff on it. But you can get regular tulle also. And you just tie that in the center like that, and then once you have it tied in the center, you just kind of fluff it out a little bit. And then you've got the tulle. Now you see you've got this big hunkin' piece sticking out here. So I just cut it off.
Nice.
Okay, and then you can do like that, and then it's got 3 different textures in it. And of course, I usually like fluff the, after I've got it made, I bend all of the circles that I made out in the ribbon so that it looks rounder like that.
It's nice.